What happens when something that cannot be stopped crashes into something that cannot be moved? Does the universe explode? Does reality tear apart? Does one of them finally lose? Millions have asked this question. It feels like the ultimate showdown, the final battle between two absolutes. One must win, or both must break. There seems to be no other option. But here is the strange truth. This war you imagine has never existed. The collision you picture cannot happen, not because physics forbids it, but because you have been tricked. The trick did not come from nature. It came from words. You think you are asking a physics question. You are not. You are caught inside a language trap. And everything you believe about this problem is about to fall apart. Stay with me until the end. By the last minute of this video, you will see something you cannot unsee. The paradox will dissolve, and your brain will never think about this question the same way again. If this sounds interesting, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a like to support the channel, and watch the full lecture because the real answer is stranger than any explosion could ever be. Let us begin. The paradox that never existed. You think this is a real puzzle. An object that cannot move meets a force that cannot stop. One must win, or neither does, or everything breaks. This feels like a trap built into the universe itself. But look closer. The trap is not in nature. It is in the words. You say immovable and believe it describes a real thing. You say unstoppable and assume physics allows it. But you have not checked. You accepted the words and skipped the meaning. The confidence came first. Understanding never arrived. Here is the flaw. Both words describe something absolute, something that cannot change under any condition. But physics does not grant absolutes to objects. It only describes relationships between them. The question assumes two things that cannot exist, and then asks what happens when they meet. You are not solving a physics problem. You are trapped in a language problem. The paradox lives only in the sentence. It was never real. Your stage is not fixed. When you stand still, you feel motionless. The ground beneath you confirms this. Everything around you agrees. But this feeling is a construction. Your brain built it for survival, not for truth. Now imagine someone passing by in a fast rocket. From their view, you are the one moving. The ground, the trees, the entire earth rushes past their window. They are still. You are not. Both of you are correct. Physics does not choose between you. This is the problem with immovable. The word assumes a fixed background, a stage that does not move, but no such stage exists. There is no universal stillness. Motion is always measured against something else. And that something else is also moving relative to something further. Your sense of stillness is real to you, but reality does not share it. What cannot accelerate? When people say immovable, they mean something different. They mean an object you cannot push into motion, not one that appears still, but one that resists all force. This is not about perception. It is about acceleration. Physics measures this resistance with mass. Push an object with a given force, and its acceleration depends on its mass. More mass means less acceleration. An object that cannot accelerate would need infinite mass. No matter how hard you push, it would not speed up or slow down. Now apply this to the unstoppable force. If something moves and cannot be stopped, it also cannot accelerate. Its velocity is locked. This requires the same condition, infinite mass. The two are identical. An immovable object and an unstoppable force are the same thing, viewed differently. One at rest, one in motion, both unacceleratable, the same object, two names. Picture an object with infinite mass floating in space. From your perspective, it sits perfectly still. You call it immovable. You cannot push it into motion. Now, someone passes by in a ship. From their view, the object rushes past at constant speed. They call it unstoppable. They cannot slow it down or change its path. Same object, same physics, different label. The distinction was never real. It was about which reference frame you chose. At rest, the object appears immovable. In motion, it appears unstoppable. Both are descriptions of the same property, resistance to acceleration. The original question asked what happens when they collide, but now you see the error. It is asking what happens when one infinitely massive object meets itself. The opposition was illusion. The paradox collapses. What infinite mass would require. Infinite mass demands infinite energy. This is not a small problem. An object with infinite mass would immediately collapse into a black hole so large that the entire universe would already be inside it. Nothing would exist outside. No observer, no collision, no question. Physics does not break here. The premise does. Reality forbids infinite mass by making its consequences absurd. Your intuition never noticed this because you do not live near such extremes. You experience objects with normal mass. Cars, planets, stars. None of these hint at what infinity would demand. So you imagined the scenario without cost. You placed infinite mass into your mental model and ignored what it would destroy. Physics does not allow this courtesy. The consistency remains perfect. The object simply cannot exist. A collision without consequence. Imagine two such objects moving toward each other. You expect impact, destruction, something must give. But what would actually happen? Both have infinite mass. Neither can change velocity. Acceleration is impossible for both, so their speeds remain locked. The only outcome, they pass through each other, unchanged. No bounce, no stop, no transfer of energy. Each continues exactly as before. This violates your expectation because every collision you have witnessed produced change. Cars crumple, balls bounce, bodies stop. Memory built a rule. Collision means consequence, but that rule assumes objects can accelerate. Remove that ability, and the collision becomes meaningless. Two things occupy the same space briefly, then separate. Nothing transfers because nothing can change. The dramatic impact you expected never had physical support. No frame holds priority. You assume there is one correct view of this collision, one true account of what happens and when, but there is not. An observer moving with the first object sees it at rest and the second approaching. Another observer moving with the second sees the opposite. A third, watching from elsewhere, sees both moving. All three witness different events, different timings, different sequences, yet all three are correct. Physics offers no master frame to declare one view true and the others false. Reality does not unfold from a single perspective. It is sliced differently depending on motion. What remains the same is the relationship between events, not their absolute position or time. Your intuition cannot accept this because it was built assuming one universal now. That assumption was always wrong. The question answered itself. The paradox is gone, not solved, dissolved. You believed immovable and unstoppable were opposites. They are the same thing viewed from different frames. You believed their collision would break something. Nothing breaks because neither can change. You believed physics owed you an answer. Physics owed nothing. The question was broken from the start. What replaced your intuition is simpler but less comfortable. Words created the conflict. Definitions demanded the impossible. Reality never participated. If this feels unsatisfying, notice that feeling. It is the cost of understanding. Certainty was comfortable but wrong. Confusion means the old model collapsed. You do not leave with a winner. You leave knowing the match was never scheduled. The question answered itself by ceasing to exist.